a little while when I'm talking about our landings too, but so once you get in, I want you to stay in until I give you an okay to get out. At any time during the flight, let's say I make a touch and go in a field, or we come in for a final landing, I don't want everybody hopping out to take a picture or try and hold us down or whatever. Best to stay in. That's number one. Number two, once we get airborne, we will make at least one landing. The sky hadn't kept any of us yet. And what we want to do is be prepared for these landings, possibly more than one. I might land on the field here before we leave just to show you what it's like. The best way to prepare for the landings is to pay attention. You see the Earth getting closer to us, you'll hear me say something like, hey, we're going to land here, or do a touch and go or something. Face the direction of travel. You can see when the ground's coming up. Hold on to something. We got these structures are all good to hold on to. Everything but this one. I don't want anybody holding on to my fuel lines for support. Any of the others is fine. There's handles all the way around the inside. Might work well for you. And you get the special briefing. When we come in for a landing, the last thing I want you to do is to put your chin on the edge of the basket. You're just about at the right height. You don't want to do that, because what will happen is you'll bounce, and guess what you're going to bite? You bite your tongue, you'll be spitting blood all over the place. It'll be nasty. So just be careful on landings not to rest your chin there.
Okay. Do not.
If you start doing it, I'll pull you back a little bit, because you don't want to do that. When we land, it might bump a little bit.
It would hurt.
So you hold on, bend your knees a little bit. We might bump and drag a little bit. The faster we're going for landing, the rougher it can be. Doesn't have to be, but it might be. Faster means we got to drag along the ground longer to slow us down. The winds are supposed to be dropping off. They've been dropping off pretty steadily for the last couple hours, and they should get fairly calm by the time we get to our destination on the other side of the river. In the event they don't, let's say they're still blowing at 6 or 7 knots when we go to land, not the end of the world. It's just, we're just going to have to drag a little bit to slow this thing down. In the unlikely event that we suddenly pick up a lot of speed, which I don't think that's going to happen, we might have to do what they call a high wind landing, in which case the balloon lays down on its side just like it is now, and it'll drag for a little ways. The important thing about those kind of landings, which they happen a few times a year, they're not that big of a deal, but you got to be prepared for them. Rule number one definitely comes into play. Get down low in the basket. So if you're standing up, like me, I'm 6 foot tall. If I'm standing up and it's laying over on its side here, I'm going to want to hold my weight up right there. And if the basket's sliding on the ground, it'll want to get drug under. So we get low in the basket, hold on to these little handles here. We'll let it tip over, and I'll tell you if it's going to happen. I kind of doubt it is, but you never know. If we're going to do a landing like that, I'll give you some warning, and it'll tip over and drag a little bit, and we'll bring it to a stop. During the flight, I have 4 fuel tanks in here. I've got 4 fuel tanks in here. I burn on one at a time. The radio. Okay, I got a pair of earplugs for everybody. The burner makes a bit of noise. I'm going to be wearing earplugs, so I'm going to give you guys a set. You can use them if you want. If you don't want, you want blue ones or orange ones?
Blue.
There you go. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. A lot of people don't. I will have them in because I have to listen to this thing all the time. It's not deafeningly loud, but it is fairly loud.
How do you open
will we need the earplugs as well for the altitude? Or
no.
Okay.
It'll be just for noise.
Okay.
And like I said, once I start the fans, the noise starts. When I start the burner, it makes a bit of noise, and then to get off the ground, I got to burn for a couple minutes straight. So if you can get through that, I mean, you can just